Well, you know what? Let's
Happy
just start
April Fool's
again.
Day, everyone.
Is it April Fool's Day there?
It is.
Well, that makes sense that we'd be recording today.
A 3-minute and 10-second podcast. Cheers, everyone.
Enjoy, fuckers.
Oh, shoot. You know what's funny? Do you remember the Florida Men podcast?
Yeah.
They haven't made an episode since last June. And I listened to that podcast religiously. It was not my favorite format, but the two guys were really good and the stories were hilarious. And all they did was recount, like they just read the news from Florida, basically.
Yeah, but the crazy shit that happens, yeah.
Yeah. But they stopped making them. And then today they put out a podcast that was titled We're Back. And I was like, yes. And it said, so I clicked on it and it was just all this like, it was 50 minutes. They recorded like a fax machine sound. And then there was a link, and I thought, for a second, I was like, is it broken or is it April Fool's Day? And then there was a link below that said, find out where we've been for the last 10 months. And you clicked on it, and it was, I don't want to give you up.
Oh, you got Rickrolled.
Cry. I got Rickrolled. What's his name? Rick Astia?
Rolled. I don't know.
Yeah, that's... Anyway, they Rickrolled us. It was pretty clever. But I do miss that podcast. It was a good podcast.
Yeah, I wonder why. Like, maybe they're in prison themselves. You never know.
I don't think so. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I've been really trying to lose weight for a month now. So almost since our last podcast.
Yeah.
I started.
And you lost 10 pounds.
I'm now like 12.
That's pretty decent.
But I'm
for an
struggling
old guy.
because I love scotch.
Scotch. I love food. I am also on Struggle Street in the weight loss department.
Yeah, I had a hard time today.
Well, it's a real eye-opener when you go on to like your Zoom calls for work and stuff, and you're like, whoa. I feel sorry for whoever has to look at this fucking face for the next hour and a half.
It's not that it's a bad face. It's just there's way too much of it.
There's so much.
I gotta get some of the face off my face.
Yeah.
Why does my face look like something you'd put in the oven for like a Christmas dinner? It's like broad, like a big roast that little Timmy would be really excited about having.
Well, mine looks like
Christmas
it's like
goose.
The bread, like I'm the Pillsbury Doughboy, but I've risen.
That's what my feet look like all the time. They look like I baked bread in my shoe, and it's like puffy foot coming out of the shoe.
That song that rise up, blah, 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 blah. That's me. That's my theme song.
Rise up like you're full of Canada.
Well, you know what kind of prompted me to reach out to do this podcast. Oh well, I don't know. I know that you texted me for this one, but I was.
What prompted you to actually agree to it for once?
Yeah, no. Well, no, because I've been working. So
you took on a new clinical job too. Mom
so I'm working 2 jobs. I'm like the working class man.
Oh, you're joining the rest of the family.
So now I do clinical work just because part of like my main job is not clinical, so I didn't want to lose those skills. It was full on. So I did that on Saturday, and it was supposed to be like a 5-hour shift, and I finished after 8 hours. And I had like cardiac emergencies and stuff, and which is great, like it's super exciting. But fuck, I was so tired. I didn't have.
Did they pay you well for the clinical side?
Yeah, it was okay. I think because it's my second job, I don't get like the tax-free threshold, so I get taxed pretty heavily on that. But that's okay.
Yeah. There's a tax-free threshold?
Yeah, the first $30,000 that you make is tax-free.
But not in a second job. It's just overall. It follows the person. Yeah, that's the same. I think that's the same in Canada.
Yeah.
I think you don't pay taxes on the first $24,000 that you make.
Yeah.
But then somehow I managed to pay 55% taxes, which means I'm getting paid well, but it's really painful to hand over more than you take home.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that does suck.
Fear not, because they're going up.
There's always a little bit of wiggle room there. Mom bought a new car, or it put a deposit on a new car.
Well, she was okay, between us, and I love Mom, as you know, as you do too.
Yeah.
She called me about 60 times a day about the car, right? She gets it in her head, and then she's like...
Then she has to do it.
She's like, well, John's not here, but Jake's name is John, so I'm going to somehow roll him into this, as though he's my husband and he's retired, and has all the time in the world. So she called me from every car dealership, probably 4 or 5 times, and then instead of talking to me, just handed me to the person who was trying to sell her a car without telling me what she's looking at buying, where she is. So at first I got this, hey, it's Jared here. I'm really excited. It looks like your mom's going to be a good fit for this new E-Class. I said, a new E-Class? Is she at a Mercedes dealership? Yep, we're at the Mercedes-Benz dealership. I said, how much is a new E-Class? Well, all in on the road, it's going to be about $60,000.
I know.
I said, she can't afford that.
I told her, she was
tell my mom to get in her old E-Class and go to a different dealership.
Yeah, she told me that. She was like, it's going to be $63,000 and blah, blah, blah. And you know what? A Lexus is going to be $57,000, so I might as well just get the one that I want. And I was like, Mom, you can't get either of those.
I don't know how to break this to you, but you don't have a job.
You can't do that. We're not the $60,000 car family, you know.
Technically, Mom does have a job, and it's working for me, and she does it poorly, and she makes $12,000 a year,
tax free if it's under the threshold.
Oh, I think I'll just get a new Mercedes. You can't get a new Mercedes.
I can pay that off in 6 years with my income.
Might be able to get like a 2010 Mercedes. I know. Anyway, so she went. In the end, I was like, what can she get that will feel luxurious, but she wants like a new vehicle. And I said, why don't you, she was at the Benz dealership again today. I said, why don't you go over and look at the Acuras, because the MDX is a really nice truck.
But yeah, I told her to go Acura as well because it's a Honda, and they're just going to last forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially, with her heart condition and stuff.
well, and I said, Mom, if you get bored of it, if you hate it, in 2 years, just trade it in for something like, you could get a 2014 Mercedes in 2 years if you really want a car instead of a truck or whatever. It's not, I mean, I feel bad because I was kind of quick on the phone with them, but it was like the 20th phone call, and I thought she wasn't going to get it. I was like, well, it doesn't have cooled seats. It doesn't have, it doesn't have some of the stuff that you want. And then I get this message, 6 messages, and the first one is, I put a down payment on the car. I was like, oh, shit, okay.
I know, but
it's still expensive.
I freaked her out a little bit, though, because she was telling me, and she was so excited. I feel really bad, actually, because she was telling me, she was like, I got the car. I was like, great, what did you get? And she was like, told me, and I was like, oh, that's fantastic. And I was like, does it have a reversing camera is the first thing that I asked, because I was like, you're going to have to back up an SUV.
Yeah.
She's got cataracts. So she was like, oh, I don't know. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll look it up. And then I was like, oh, it's got a moonroof. She was like, does it?
It does. It has a sunroof, Mom. I'm not sure that's the case. I think she got the very bare bones model. And so the guy called. She gave the phone to the guy who called me. And I looked it up, and I was like, well, I said, it says here on Auto Trader that you have an MDX Elite for the same price, and it's a 2019. And he said, yeah, but that's sold. I was like, yeah, but it's the same price. I said, take the price down. He said, well, I could maybe take $500 off it. I said, no, take $5,000 off it.
I know. Yeah, and that's what I think I freaked her out a little bit, because she was like, yeah, they're going to throw in some tires, and I'm trading in the car, the Benz, for $2,500. I was like, they haven't taken any money off the original price.
You're giving them more money. You just gave them a car too.
I know. So I was like, I guess if you're happy, then that's okay. But if you're happy to literally give away the Mercedes and have that be a thing.
She's put the deposit on it. I felt like telling her not to get it, to be honest.
Well, I think that they've taken her for a bit of a ride. So I said that I'd have a chat to them when she goes in to to like talk to them again. I was like, I'll talk to them. I mean, it sounds like super first world problems.
Well, it might sound that way, but dealing with car dealerships is a
what I'm really
universal
surprised
problem.
about. What I'm so surprised about, though, is how expensive cars are there.
They're
Like-
well, listen, the carbon tax on top of the HST. So you have to pay carbon tax, or carbon tax like $3,000. Plus the HST includes the carbon tax, right? So it's 15% on top. It would be a $33,000 car, but
Yeah.
plus carbon tax, plus HST on top of the carbon tax. It ends up being like $42,000. They add
that's
25%
so
to the price
crazy
of the car.
because here, like, new cars are relative, but you know what I think it is? I think because of the salt on the roads and stuff, cars deteriorate a lot faster there,
Yeah.
which you would think would mean that they would be cheaper because they're going through them a lot faster, but there is increased demand. Where here, you buy a car, and if
It'll
you
last you
maintain
30
it,
years. Yeah.
it will last you forever. So, buying a new car is there's everyone wants your business because
Yeah.
no one is selling cars. Like no one
Yeah,
needs
here
a
there's
new car.
and the competition's terrible here too.
Yeah.
And right now, the other issue that we're having is they won't let you bring one in from another province. So I said, what the fuck? Just buy one in Quebec and have them ship it here. Quebec won't send you one because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
We are
It's fucked.
Canada's totally fucked. We have no vaccines. They've started offering people just one dose of the vaccine. That's a 2-dose
Well, Mom
vaccine.
got her dose of the vaccine.
And you know when her next one's scheduled for? July
I know.
9th.
I know
She
that's
got
stupid.
it in March.
Yeah.
And she only got it because they had extra doses at the Jean Coutu and put it on the radio.
I know. It's probably saline, but
It could be. It could be saline.
look, these ones boiled in the back of my car. I guess we'll give them to the Jongatu.
Well, they had a bunch. So we don't know exactly what's happened, but they had a bunch of
Fell off the back of the truck.
well, no, a bunch of nursing home patients got COVID. There was a big outbreak in BC, and they were fully vaccinated. And they suspect that what happened is that they literally sat in a hot car while
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they have to be cold, and
Yeah.
and they were ineffective.
Well, they found now that that they can survive just a normal refrigeration. It doesn't have to be the -70 thing for the Pfizer ones. The AstraZeneca ones don't need anything. What's really funny here is that like they were all excited. They got the first shipment of Pfizer vaccines, and they were like, okay, the first person to get their vaccine, which I think is really fucking stupid, is this 98-year-old fucking old guy in a nursing home and his 107-year-old wife. Not really 107, but fucking old as shit, not going anywhere. And the doctor was like, okay, here you go, jabby Jew. And he gave the whole vial to the guy and then a whole vial to the lady. They got 6 doses of some vaccine.
They're going to be
They were like-
sore. I can tell you from experience.
They were like, so a little bit of a mishap. The doctor didn't have the training. Like, who thinks that a vaccination is 6 mils?
I know.
Maybe he was like, oh, whoa, this is a good vaccine. No wonder this is more effective than the AstraZeneca.
This must be working. My anus turned out, and now I have a tail.
I was just like, oh, that is horrendous.
I've been vaccinated. And
Yeah.
that was a bit of a controversy, but because we do interventional and we take patients from all over the province, we ended up getting on like the 3rd tier list at the hospital. So, there were some people ahead of us, Emerge ICU, and then one other group, and then us in the cath lab. So, so my first shot, it was not a big deal at all. I had some arm pain, and no big deal after that. It was Pfizer. And then we had to wait 4 weeks for the second shot. And I got the second shot, and I never got real sick. But I was so fucking tired after getting that second vaccine. I could have worked, but I would have been not good at work. You know what I mean?
You know what I'm surprised about? I'm surprised that they haven't done, and maybe they have, but research into the cross reactivity of people who have previously been infected that
Well,
get the
that's what I
vaccine.
wondered. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know for like Q fever, which is a disease that vets get from cattle, if you react, like if you have antibodies to it and you get the vaccine, then you have chronic fatigue for the rest of your life. And I got it, and I have literally, but I mean, I only think about it now that I'm chronically tired.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder, because I don't know. I mean,
thought you
surely
had
they-
Q fever. I thought you got Q fever when you were a vet school
No.
student.
No, I didn't get. I got the vaccination.
Or
But
did you
no, I
get
never-
meningitis?
I got meningitis, but that was after. That was when we had kids.
Did you get bitten
So-
by a spider and have a seizure at one point?
I didn't have a seizure, but yes, I did. I got bitten by a redback spider, and that was when I was 18, just doing volunteer work at a koala sanctuary. That was before I like literally moved over here. I came over for a summer holiday, and I was cleaning the aviary of this, like it's a zoo, but they call it a koala sanctuary so they can get tax write-offs. And yeah, there was I had no idea that spiders would live in an aviary, because you'd think that the birds would eat them. These are all nectar-eating birds. I didn't know that.
So
Yeah,
what,
so
it
I
was
got-
really a redback, like a black widow spider bait.
Yeah, black widow spider. Yeah, which
Oh my
I didn't
God.
know were the same thing until like literally the last year. I didn't realize that black widow and redback spiders were the same thing.
Yeah, what happened to you?
Just big swelling, big swollen arm.
You didn't get
couple
tissue
weeks.
necrosis.
No, nothing like that. I think the reason that you get tissue necrosis is when it swells up to the point where you get like compartmentalized tissue
Oh, yeah.
syndrome
maybe
or
that
whatever
makes
it's called.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the first warning sign. Aaron's
No,
aunt,
the
my
first-
wife's auntie.
I think the first warning sign was when you got hit on your scooter that you'd had for a week
Yeah.
in the parking lot.
Yeah. That wasn't actually the worst experience, though. Like, it wasn't the best time, but it was only an issue because I had no idea what I was doing, because I've only been here for a month, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about the healthcare system. I didn't know anything. So that was why that was an issue. But yeah, the first warning sign was probably that I got bitten by a spider. My wife's auntie was taking her bin out, like her rubbish bin. She
Yeah.
stepped on a stick, which turned
was
out
a
to
snake.
be, yeah, it was a death noodle. And
What's
it
that?
was a
What
brown
kind of snake is a death noodle? Is that a
well,
cobra?
like a stick. No, a stick that looks like if you step on it, it's not a noodle at all.
Yeah, it's not good.
Deadly
It
noodle.
doesn't sound good.
It was a Eastern brown, and it
yeah,
bit her
they're bad.
and envenomated her, and she couldn't claw it. She had to go and get anti-venin and stuff. So that was the first person that I've ever heard of that actually got bitten by a snake. Meanwhile, I still take the bins out in my bare feet. I'm like, oh, I hope I don't step on a death.
Well, yeah, Aaron sent pictures of the kids doing a bushwalk, and they're in their bare feet
I
like,
know.
in the woods. And I was like, of course, it comes to my mind, oh, I guess they're going to die.
I know. Swimming in these lakes that are flooded, so all the snakes have been washed into this
Oh, that's
into
good.
this reservoir.
Like,
what
no,
else?
it's okay. The mongooses are keeping the snakes at bay. The mongooses
that's
also will attack the children. And,
Yeah.
but it's all right. The orangutans eat the mongoose. So I think,
I know. And there's photos of Alice looking like Mowgli, just like in her shoes, in like her brand new Nikes that I just bought, swimming in her shoes. Like, fuck.
yeah,
There goes the second job money.
like a caveman. Yeah. The pictures freaked me out a little bit.
Yeah.
There's nothing really like that
they're
here,
okay.
but I'm trying to think of the dangerous shit we do with our kids. One thing that people do is they stay out ice fishing well beyond the point that you should be out on the ice. Like the ice has melted and there's a river with big waves on it crashing over the ice, and people are like, I'm going to drive my Dodge Ram out on that and go fishing this afternoon.
Yeah.
So
Seems
invariably,
like a pretty good
every
idea.
single day, somebody shows up in the hospital with hypothermia and a missing truck.
A missing truck, which is why another reason why it's driving up the prices of four-wheel drive vehicles.
They're all in the Kennebecasis River.
Yeah, that's right. You could get some pretty decent cars if you could dredge them up. Oh no. The do you think, is it true that the Inuit put their old people on an iceberg and float them out to sea?
I think that's got to be just a thing from a Bugs Bunny cartoon, doesn't it?
I don't know, but every time I see those the fishing shacks on the ice, they look like little icebergs. Like they're pretty broken up. Sometimes they're hopping across the open water. I think.
Yeah.
I wonder if that could float out.
Well, there's always a news story about somebody who floats out while they're in their ice fishing shack. I mean, that happens every year.
It's such a bad idea.
The one guy goes out and he's like, "Oh my God, Joe, we're floating away." And Joe goes, "I guess it was our time." We don't want to be a burden on the young ones. Sorry again, Lisa and Lisa's husband.
Got it. I just got the accent. Oh no!
Is that bad? Is it bad because it is pretty close? I think.
Yeah. Well, I have another story. So I have two personas, both made up. So one is a friendly person.
Yes.
So that is 100% fake.
That's your
almost all the
work
time.
persona.
My work persona.
Yeah.
The other persona that I have is my biker persona, just like this person who rides a motorcycle. I wear leather. It's like
With an
playing
orange safety helmet. Yes.
No, but I do have like I've well,
it's not your biker gear. It's a costume, is what you're saying.
Yes. Well, it's safety gear. Like I wear Kevlar shirts and Kevlar lined jeans and knee pads and elbow pads and all this sort of stuff. But it kind of looks the part a little bit. It's the two personas are merging a little bit because Elijah and I made some bracelets, and I couldn't put mine on my wrist, so I put it on my zipper on my jacket. So it's got some beaded jewelry hanging off it now. But I was filling up the tires, and I've just found out. So I was filling up the tires at a petrol station or a gas station for those in North America, and I just found out that you can get this right angle adapter that you can put on your tire when you're filling it up, so you don't have to do all those manipulations with your wrist.
Between the spokes, you mean? Because
that is such a pain in the ass.
I could use one of those. I never thought of that.
Yeah, so I had no idea. So I have this group called Veterinary Motorcyclists on Facebook.
Vegetarian?
No, veterinary.
Oh, I thought you said vegetarian motorcyclist. Boy,
No.
that doesn't sound like a very tough group.
Veterinary motorcyclists, and it's just me and a bunch of my vet friends who ride bikes. Okay. And I put it out there, and I was like, "Does anyone else have this fucking problem where you go to fill up, put air in your tire, and there's just no fucking chance that's going to happen?" And they're like, "Yeah, just get the right angle adapter, dummy." And I was like, "Of course, that's a thing." Who would have ever thought? Anyway, so I did that, but I had lost the little cap for my
for your tire.
What do you call it? The nib,
valve.
To
the
put,
valve cover.
Yeah, to put yeah. So I bought these ones from eBay, and they're not great. So it was fiddly as fuck trying to get the cap back on the tire. And I was at the petrol station. I was at the first car park at the air pump, and there were 4 other car parks to the left of me.
Right.
And the petrol prices must have been good because there was a bit of a lineup, and they were full, but it wasn't that busy. And
No.
I was sweating. It was hot as fuck. It's black tarmac that I'm sitting on. I was wiping my brow. I'm wearing leather and Kevlar and jeans and plastic protectors and boots. I was hot. And I was fiddling with this thing, trying to get it on. And finally I got it on. And I put my helmet on, put my gloves on. And then this fucking old cunt in the car holding up fucking lines of traffic was like, waved me over. And I said, oh, hi. I was wearing my helmet. My music was playing in my helmet.
Yeah.
And she said, how long are you going to be? And I said, oh, like, do you want that exact spot? And she was like, yes. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you because of my helmet. And she said, oh, isn't that convenient? And I said, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So I was like, hey, Cardo, music off. But it wouldn't listen because I was getting flustered. So the music kept playing. I said, I'm sorry.
Music,
how
louder.
can I help you?
Music, louder.
I said, I'm sorry. How can I help you? Because I thought maybe she was like, she needed help putting air in her tires or something.
Yeah.
And she goes, move! Like this huge fucking move. And I was like, whoa, okay. So
what's that? Sit on your hood? Okay.
I know. I was angry.
Yeah.
Now, because I'm hot. Like I was like, lady, do you think that this is my happy place? Sitting here, sweating, fiddling with my tires. She goes, I finally my music stopped, and she said, I said to my husband, I think he's doing this on purpose, and now I know that you are. And I said, I'm not, but I was like, God, give me strength that I don't punch this fucking old cunt in the face. You know, like, she's such a bitch, chewing her fucking minty gum in my face. Yeah. And like old. I'm talking fucking old.
Like mom's age.
Older than mom. Like 65.
Yeah.
68 maybe.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've never been spoken to this like this by anybody, let alone like a stupid fucking old lady. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to go aggressive. I'm going to go passive aggressive.
Yes.
So then I backed up really slowly and just like that saunter, you know, like back and forth. Like, yeah, I got you, you dumb fucking cunt. And
was she waiting for the air pump?
Well, yes, but like you can
because what I would have done is I would have taken the jackknife out of my pocket and cut the air pump hose and driven off with it.
I was so angry because like you could just park next to me. Like I've parked next to that park and used the air pump. Like it's a long hose and you don't need to be right in front of it to use it. So I sauntered and I got on my bike and I lifted my arms up and did a big stretch, all while like keeping like full eye contact. Like my eyes were locked on hers. Like, oh, big stretch. And then she got out of the car and walked over to me. And I was like, I'm in biker gear. Like, I don't look like, I'm not in my nice guy persona. I'm in my, like, kind of like a little bit tough guy. I'm wearing glasses, but whatever. Yeah. And she goes, you know what? You are doing this on purpose. And blah, 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 blah. All while chomping her fucking gum at my face. And I said, you know what? I wasn't doing it on purpose, but now I am doing it on purpose because you're being a fucking dick to this little old lady. And then she walked back and got in her car. And I went to turn my bike one way, and then I was like, you know what? No. So I turned it back the other way, and I went and I stood, like I set it right in front of her fucking car. So all the while keeping eye contact. And then I didn't flip her off. I really wanted to, but I didn't. And then I started it up and I drove away. And this is going to sound really kind of sad because obviously I'm so angry about it. But on my way out, I was like, okay, I think I handled that okay. I think I handled that okay. I didn't hit her. I didn't give her the bird. I didn't swear. I didn't actually say you're being a fucking dick. I just said you're being a dick. And I said a little prayer. I was like, God, please calm me down because I really wanted to go back and confront her and like get off my bike.
I do that. I do confront people.
Well, I really wanted to. And I wanted to get my camera out and take photos of her.
Yes, People like that. People get upset about that too when you take your phone out and you're like, no, I'm just going to video this.
No.
I think I will put this on YouTube so that everyone knows what a cunt you are.
The only reason I wanted to do it was so I could post it and say, if this is your mother, you need to have a discussion with her.
Put her in the home.
Because she is really, really rude. I was so upset. And then I said another little prayer and I was like, Lord, please give that lady peace. Maybe she's going through some shit. But
No,
we're
all going through shit. There's no excuse.
So can you believe that? That was the first time, like, I know that there's like this big Karen thing where
I've had that happen all the time.
Oh, but who does that? Like, that is so rude.
Just don't... Fucking cunty people do it all the time. It's just so beyond what I would ever consider. I have it happen all the fucking time, all the time. Like well, I think it's because I see so many patients every day, right?
Oh yeah. Well, people. That's a different situation.
Excuse me. I've been waiting for you to do this procedure for over 40 minutes. Gee, that must be fucking tough for you. The guy that just died, who I've been working on. I'm sure he feels really bad from beyond the grave for your inconvenience. You fucking selfish cocksucker. Well, now hold your arm out and I'll put a fucking IV in it.
in this, like, I mean, my job is in the service industry. Yours is different, but kind of similar because it's like you've got patients, I've got clients.
Yeah.
And I have absolutely had difficult clients.
I actually don't lose it at patients in the hospital, but I feel like it a lot. But my friend Jamie, who's unfortunately he's died now. He was in my med school class. He was an awesome guy, and died of throat cancer like a few years after we finished. Anyway, he was a super, super cool guy, and just big, jovial, funny, like easygoing. Anyway. Nicest guy you ever met. He was in Big Brothers, Big Sisters. He took care of this kid the whole way through medical school while I was being selfish and eating Subway and watching movies whenever I could to avoid, he was taking this kid out and giving this kid a good life. Anyway, we were in the hospital cafeteria and all they had was soup. It was like, we were studying late, so it was like 9:30 at night. And he got in line and the soup was down. I'd like filled my bowl, but it was down below the level that the ladle could reach. So you had to like tilt the thing to get the soup. And he was tilting it with one arm and he had all his books under his arm. And,
oh no.
And he was scooping the soup out and he was trying to get soup to ladle it into the cup that he had in the hand that was holding the books. And this lady said, again, about that age, behind us said, "Excuse me, how long is this going to take?" And he spilled all the soup on his hand. And the soup was super hot because it was at the bottom of the heater. And there wasn't any like extra fluid to diffuse the heat. She'd been going like, as he was trying to figure it out, she'd been going, and finally he spilled soup on his hand. He turned around and he said, "What is your fucking problem?" She just like took off.
I think it threw me that she was so old and a lady.
No, you can't really with women. If it was a guy, just tell him to back the fuck up.
Just like I would have probably headbutted him with my helmet.
Yeah, remember in the Toronto airport when the guy said something about Jack playing with his motorcycle, and I said, "Yeah, if you don't want to be in the newspaper tomorrow, you're leaving right now." Because I don't care. I was like, I don't care if I go to jail.
I'll love it there.
I'll be happy.
Thrive.
I would be happy to go to prison.
Jail is my fucking happy place.
I've got a skill set that other prisoners want. A tight anus, essentially. But I'm okay with that. Because it's better than my job. So one Christmas, I was just thinking about this today, actually. It's really funny because I had, with COVID, it's really weird. I always hold the door for people. And now you're supposed to distance. There's another fucking outbreak, of course, because Canada's
we just came out of a 3-day lockdown.
Anyway, you know how you hold the door for people, but now you're like, oh, do I hold it or do I walk away so I'm more than 6 feet away? I just hold it. I don't know. Anyway,
I slam it in their fucking face. Like, get your own door. Equality, cunt.
Men's rights.
Death to the matriarchy.
Speaking Speaking of that, did you see the Madonna? Oh my God, this was a couple of weeks ago, but we haven't talked.
Yeah,
in a while.
you've already ranted about that.
The patriarchy with its foot on her neck.
Yes.
Fuck you. Anyway, but what it got me thinking about, because I was holding the door for somebody today, was the Christmas when I was on call. And I'd been on call. Everybody else was off. It was before we had rules around how many people could be off for how long for interventional. And so I was the only one on for like, I think 6 days in a row. And and I hadn't done my Christmas shopping. And it was before Amazon was a big thing. Like I couldn't just like order stuff and get it in 2 days. You could order it.
I know.
It would be
I
like
love
a month.
that. I get it the next fucking day. Love it.
Yeah. So I was on call and I went to the mall. And I was on the phone. Somebody called
and
me
someone
while
had
I
a
was
fall.
No. Yeah,
and that person
rhymes.
was tall.
Was tall. I was on the phone, and they called about some case, and they were asking me to come in to do it, and I was getting really flustered, and I was like, oh my God, I gotta leave the mall, and I haven't got the Christmas presents, and all I had bought was like one little shitty sweater for Chrissy. And I was like huffing it out of the mall to get to the car, to get to the hospital while talking to this person on the phone and emerge. And some lady was ahead of me and she went out first and I went out right behind her and I was still talking on the phone. I was saying, okay, what's the patient number? We'll get them called down in a second here. And she stopped right in front of me and turned around and said, "You're welcome." And I said, "What for?" I said, "Hold on a second." I had the phone. I said, just hold on a second. I'm welcome for what? She said, "It's courtesy to say thank you when somebody holds the door for you." And I said, "You know what? Go fuck yourself." And then and she went, and I just kept walking and I picked up the phone again and it was one of the emerge docs and he was like, "Is everything okay?" And I said, "I'm pretty sure it'll be fine."
What I would really like about your job though is that I have got like this photographic memory for faces. If I see you anywhere, I can remember where I saw you. I can't remember when it was, but it can feel like yesterday. I will remember that I've seen you if we've had some sort of interaction. I would love it when that fucking bitch came in.
Well, I was going to say, it would have been the perfect
to death.
story if she brought her dog into you 5 minutes later.
I know. With like a blood clot in her leg, nothing life-threatening, but certainly toe-threatening,
Yeah.
And you were like, "Oh, it's courtesy to say thank you when someone unblocks your artery."
You know what's quite funny? That has actually happened to me before, and it was about liftoff. So Dad was he was just about to die. Actually, he was quite sick, and we knew it was getting close to the end. And he'd been in the hospital, and I'd just gone to see him, and I had a meeting with a venture capitalist about liftoff, and I went to see this guy, and we sat down, and I tried to be pleasant and stuff, but he was being quite rude, not just about liftoff, but about Dad. Like it was. And it was kind of pathetic. The guy, he kind of won the lottery on one investment and has never made a good one since. But he was really talking down to me and talking down about Dad. And, your father's not some genius, He's just he's just an engineer who has had a few jobs, blah, blah, blah. And I was kind of really quite put off. And I let him know it. I said, in fairness, Jerry, you're not a real genius yourself. Said you've gotten lucky once and you've wasted $10 million on bad investments since. And we kind of had it out a little bit, and he left in a huff and went off to this meet. He said he had a meeting, and I said, okay, well, I got to get back to the hospital because I met him at lunch, and his meeting was an appointment with me. And I didn't know it, so he came in, and I went, "Oh, hi again."
Hi again. So, you're having a stroke.
So you think I'm an idiot, do you? Well,
who's talking to the left side of their face now?
Yeah, name's not really Jerry. Name changed for purposes of the story, but still, I was unimpressed, and I just, you can't. I mean, you're always professional, even if people are assholes. But I did have one guy, and this is quite bad. He was an old German guy from Germany. and all I had to do was a minor procedure, like something that you can do on children, totally painless. And he was probably, in fairness, probably a little bit demented, but he could talk, like you could speak to him normally. And then as soon as we got started, he started swinging at me, and he wasn't sedated or anything. Like he was,
Yeah.
and he just wouldn't hold still. And I'd just done the same procedure on a 4-year-old who held still for it. I said, listen, this isn't going to hurt. This is not. He said, you think you're an important doctor, but you are a vicious monster. You are worse than Hitler. I said, well, you would fucking know. And then I put everything down and walked out. It's like, somebody else do it. I'm not saying that. He told me I was worse than Hitler. He lived through World War II.
We were going to use a vein in your hand, but now I think we'll use one in your eye.
Yeah.
So there's that. Okay. Okay.
You know, I don't tend to lose it at patients, but that one it always stuck with me. This old German guy telling me I was worse than Hitler. This job.
He just meant that you were disorganized.
When COVID started, I had a COVID patient, or COVID suspected patient, who was an IV drug user. And that's something we have a ton of here. And when I went up, I was scared to death, right? I think she was maybe my first COVID patient. And so everything was like, it looked like a scene out of a Michael Crichton book, like out of the Andromeda Strain.
Yeah, you were like dressed in hazmat suits.
Hazmat suits and stuff. And I got in, and she was really, really, really mad. And I think it was because I wouldn't give her narcotics. But I'm not sure. Yeah. But it was like, oh, you don't need narcotics for this. It's just literally like getting blood work done, right? And she was mad, and she was getting madder and madder, and then she spit on me.
Oh, no.
It's like, oh my God. So when you were saying, like, you were like, I just said a little prayer. That's what I did, because I was like, if I say anything or do anything, it's going to be in the newspaper. There's no way they're going to make the female drug addict the bad guy. It's going to be the white male doctor who, Mr. Privilege.
Here you go to prison for spitting on people.
Well,
like right now, I think it's considered attempted murder.
Yeah, I don't.
So
know.
I'd be like, I hope you like COVID wards in prison. You fucking
look. It
idiot.
happens. It happens all the time. It happens to the emerge docs. It happens to the emerge nurses all the time. But at the same time,
I would have.
It's never happened to me before, and but other healthcare workers when it's happened, and I've seen them lose it, like totally lose it. I've seen fist fights break out
between doctors and patients.
Not doctors, but between other healthcare professionals and patients.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's always. I mean, it never makes things better. You don't feel better after. Like that's the thing. If you're out on the street and some guy runs into you in his car and he's really aggressive and he hits you, hit him back for sure, because that's not a defenseless person who's like out of their mind. Yeah. But when it's a patient, usually they're crazy, right? It's usually there's some mental issue going. Usually they're crazy, right? There's some mental issue going.
I guess cause longer term suffering than the instantaneous slap. So probably what I would do if a patient spat on me is I would put them in a spit hood.
Yeah, and that's what the police do. That's what
I would make them wear the spit hood, and I might write something like, I disrespected my doctor today. Not the spit
Hang
hood.
the sign. It's, oh my God, we'd lose our job instantly. But, there's a lot of, it seems to have settled down a little bit since Seattle admitted they had to hire a bunch of police officers to replace the ones they fired. But,
what? For misconduct.
You remember
or
when Black Lives Matter really broke out last year? They said there was a big defund the police movement, and Seattle and what's the one out west that's in Portland, Oregon? Portland, Oregon. Yeah. Right. So they actually did defund their police departments, and their whole idea was that we're going to use social workers when there's a mental health crisis instead of the police, because social workers aren't going to shoot the patients. They haven't met the social workers I work with, first of all, who would just be like, oh, fuck this. No, I don't think so.
No,
And
this is a police matter.
yeah. You know, when the police get spit on, they put a spit hood on you and they chuck you in the back of their car. And maybe they are a little rough, but you shouldn't have fucking spit on them. Now,
No,
I'm not
exactly.
saying there's no police brutality. I'm just saying asking a social worker to deal with that is way unfair because they are not even close to equipped to, like, you know, I realize if I spit on the police, I'm going to get roughed up. That's a risk I'm not willing to take, but
I
you
think
know.
that it's a combination of the two. I think that they would need to have a police presence to, you know, potentially restrain the individual if they're being dangerous, and then have the social worker there to.
But they
talk
don't want the police
person
there.
down.
They took the money away from the police, so there are no police there. It's like
Yeah,
you
that's
call
crazy.
a social worker.
That's
Anyway,
crazy.
they've backed up on it now because they realize it's a stupid
Yeah,
idea,
like look, this knife wielding crazy person is in the McDonald's car park. Can we dispatch two? No, make it one social worker to diffuse the situation, please.
Hi, I see you have a knife. Are you are you
Tell me-
having kitchen issues? How are your activities of daily living?
Fuck off, man! I just want to fucking kill somebody. I've been thinking about it for years.
Can I help you with your drug plan?
Let's talk this through. When you say kill, do you mean just like maim, or are we talking full murder?
Yeah, you need. I mean, the police have a role. It's crazy. To think that they don't.
Yeah.
But I kind of wish it's hard in the hospital. It's really hard because they are sick. It's like a different situation, right? They get delirious and they get mean and they get nasty.
Yeah. I mean, that's the difference again with my clientele, is that the actual people who are being jerks are not the ones that are sick. You know,
No.
they might be under a bit of stress, but they're not the ones that are shitting blood and dying. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, that's right.
Like, there really is like no excuse for being unkind and rude to me while I'm trying to help your animal out. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like I'm taking my time working out a diagnosis so I can, you know, have my lunch break. I'm like, I gotta call the specialists. I don't know what this is. You know, they're like, you know, shouldn't you know? Shouldn't you just know? Like, yeah, for skin conditions. Your dog's seizuring.
Yeah. I can't just diagnose a brain tumor on the fly, lady. Yeah, like if you were having a seizure, this is what I would say. If you were having a seizure, they would do a CT scan and then an MRI and they would do an EEG. It's not like doctors magically know what's causing the seizure. We have to investigate.
Exactly.
But
People
you
are
were telling me
fucking
about
stupid.
hitting the dog. Did I tell you about almost getting in a knife fight with a deer during the rut?
No.
So,
During the rut.
so you know the rut, like the rut.
I know.
season
Yeah,
is
it's
when
like the
deers are
purge,
all,
but
like-
for deer.
yeah. Well, they're all the males fight, and then for the females, right? So they.
I knew I shouldn't have worn my Calvin Klein obsession today.
Well, if you smell like a deer and estrus, you're literally going to get ass fucked.
Fucked in the ass by a deer.
by a buck.
With a deer dick.
A deer dick is going in your ass, no question. Don't wear deer pee, doe piss.
Don't. That day is not the day to wear the assless chaps.
I've seen people get mounted. It's quite something. Anyway, I was walking the dog, and the male deer, like the bucks here, there are so many of them because you can't hunt in this neighborhood. And some neighborhoods have a cull, right? You can bow hunt deer in neighborhoods because there's so many of them now.
Yeah.
But not around here. So, and they are majestic animals. But we have like, 12, 14 point bucks walking around the neighborhood. These are like trophy deer, and they'll be eating apples out of your front yard, right? So I was walking the dog, and it was around dusk, back in the fall, and we came around a corner, and the dog just like froze, and I heard the and I thought it was another dog, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. And then I heard
She's
the
desexed.
clop on the ground, and I was like, oh fuck, it's a deer. And
that was your dog shitting itself.
it was the deer was pawing. So I came around the corner. It was this big buck. It had its antlers down, and it was whacking the ground with its paw, with its front hoof.
Yeah.
And it was probably 10 feet away from me, and it did this like mini charge at the dog. And the dog like yelped and ran backwards. I was like, I'm gonna stand my ground. And it stopped.
Let me get my pecker knife out.
Well, that's what I did. I got my little pecker knife that stabbed me in the balls. I got it out, and I held it up, and I said, if you come close, I'm going to stab you. If you come close, I'm going to stab you. And as I was saying
okay.
this couple with a dog were walking in the other direction, and they were looking at me holding this knife up at a deer, and we were having like a Mexican standoff. I think
it's just called a standoff now.
Oh, sorry. Indians. It was a standoff. It was a Latino,
we were having a traditional standoff.
We were having a Latinx standoff. Anyway, so it came closer, and I jabbed the knife out at it, like from a couple feet away, not meaning to hit it, and it started backing up, and then I backed it up into the lawn, but I kept the knife out, and this couple watched me knifing at the deer, forcing it up the hill backwards. Well, it never turned its back on me, and then I had to keep the knife out and walk backwards by this couple, and I was like, oh, hi, good night.
Have a good night, bye. Your problem, no, bye.
I was like, watch out for that deer. Like,
and then I put the
knife
back in my
guy
pocket.
with the knife.
Yes, that's right. They didn't see the deer. They just saw the schizophrenic man swiping at the air, walking backwards.
Plot twist. There was no deer. Then I was in a spit hood in the back of a police car. I don't know. Right. I must have blacked out.
Then I swiftly put the knife back in my pocket, and that's how I ended up cutting my ballsack. So ends the tale.
A friend of mine posted a really funny meme that was like the best teleportation device, and it's a guy with his eyes open holding a bottle of Jägermeister, and then it shows him with his eyes closed, and then his eyes are open and he's in a police holding tank.
What is Jägermeister? It tastes really bad.
No, it doesn't. It tastes like a little bit like licorice. It's just kind of medicinal tasting, but very sweet. I can drink a little of it. I don't dislike it.
Is it really strong?
It's like, I think 40% alcohol. It's probably the same as any hard liquor, but I find it's hard to drink because it's got so much sugar in it. But you can put Jäger bombs. You can put it in Coke and stuff. It tastes fine.
Oh yeah.
I've gotten really into Scotch. It's not good. I mean, it killed our father, I think. But and what's funny is I feel bad because he loved Scotch. And I always I would have one with him, but I didn't enjoy it. I was like, ooh,
I hate
this is this is not a good taste. And all of a sudden, I don't know what clicked, but I love it now. And the smokier,
I think it's the alcoholism, genetic.
The better. Yeah, it could be. Could be the alcoholism.
It's like,
I stopped drinking beer.
We're going to switch this gene on now.
This is funny. I stopped drinking beer because, as you know, I'm trying to lose weight, and I'm fucking 260. I was 260 pounds. I like. It's not like I'm getting thin. I'm just getting less severely obese. But I've lost a little bit of weight, and I've gotten really into the smoky Scotch, and there's some cancer stuff happening on Chrissy's side of the family. And I was lying in bed the other day, and I've just been through the penis cancer scare that turned out to be contact dermatitis. I was just like rubbing my chest because I've been doing yoga and I'm sore, and I felt this lump in my moob, in my man boob. And I was like, oh no. I thought,
it's the microchip from the vaccination.
Yeah, this is like a macrochip. It's like, oh, it's got to be gynecomastia, right? And I just couldn't feel it because I was fatter. So this morning I went into work and I was like, I'm going to go a little early and just do an ultrasound of my man tit
machine.
Well, I did an ultrasound of my tit, and I couldn't find anything. I don't know what the hell I'm feeling there. It's got to be gynecomastia. It's got to be like man tit.
Ugh.
Yeah, it sucks.
Well,
Getting
you
old
can get
sucks.
those cut out. I would get that cut out along with the other, 18 kilograms of fat that I'm carrying. That's a bit extra.
Well, I've probably got, even having lost some fat, I've probably still got 70 or 80 pounds of fat on my body, right? I should weigh
I know.
175 pounds. If I weighed 200, I'd be pretty happy. Like, that's where I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so fat.
Well, then
It's
you and I
horrible.
are in the same body condition because, I mean, you're taller than me, and maybe 8 kilograms heavier at your heaviest. I'm very similar, but yeah, I've got to lose some weight. It's now a problem.
Yes, it is. It's a big problem. I was like, man, I've had dick issues. I've had leg issues. I'm always spraining my ankles. I got a Morton's neuroma in my foot. I'm getting diabetes.
What's that? I know.
Morton's neuroma.
Well, that's what I'm scared of. Thankfully, I'm like a camel. I don't drink at all. So I feel like if I'm ever thirsty, that's when I'm going to be like, well, this is it.
Diabetes.
And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let myself be hyperglycemic for weeks
Just to
before I
lose
start
the weight.
treatment to lose the weight.
It doesn't take weeks, unfortunately, as we found out with Dad, because I got a call on Thursday morning from Dad after he'd had like 4 pieces of lemon meringue pie the night before.
Yes.
and he said, oh, good morning. You know how he sounded. And I said, Dad,
Yeah.
you sound terrible. And he said, I was up I had to pee all night. I must have gone to the bathroom 15 times. And I said, you
Ruh-roh.
definitely are diabetic. I said, you got to go get your sugar checked. I said, my sugar? I said, yeah, you got pancreatic cancer. You probably have diabetes. You got to go to the pharmacy and get them to check your sugar. By the time he got to the pharmacy, he was in a coma. He was in a diabetic coma.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind as long as they don't put me on glucose while I'm in a coma. They just
Well,
let
they have to. They have
the
to
weight-
because they have to. Because it's really weird. But what happens is you get full of ketones, right? You basically starve.
Yeah, yeah.
And the ketones make this acid, and so it's called diabetic ketoacidosis. And
Yeah,
the
yeah.
only way to treat it is to give you sugar and insulin through an
I know.
IV over
Yeah,
and
yeah.
over, like piles of it, to get your cells
Yeah.
taking up
Well,
sugar
I just
processing.
remember when I had meningitis and I was in the hospital for like, it was over a week. I was like, this is, silver lining to this is that first they're giving me so much morphine. I was so fucking high and I loved it. And then the second thing was that I was losing tons of weight because I couldn't eat. I couldn't sit up. I couldn't even
Right.
drink. And they weighed me one day and they're like, oh, you've lost a lot of weight. We need to put you on glucose. And I was like, no, no,
What? No, you
no,
don't.
please don't. No, you don't. It's okay. This
You
is
should see my
life
wedding
saver.
pictures. I was thin, but orange. Oh my god!
Oh, yeah.
I had some.
That was the time.
I had some great ideas for stuff to cover on this podcast, and then I was like, maybe we should just stop covering stuff altogether and just call it a comedy podcast. Change the it's right now it's in what, true crime or something. It's in like if you look up,
Yeah.
but just change it straight to comedy. And
Yeah.
because somebody gave us a great review, but the review was like, if you're listening to this for true crime, this is not the podcast for you.
It's not. If there was a story that you were interested in, Google it. And
Google
then
Look it
Yeah.
up on Wikipedia.
yeah,
Because I had
agree.
these thoughts. I was like, I could do the Franklin expedition, because that is a fucking scary story about, when they were looking for the Northwest Passage and they got stuck in the ice with their 2 ships. And they
Yeah,
were
the thing is, I
icebound for
don't
years.
care. Like, I think if I cared, it would be different, but I
Then
don't.
tonight I was gonna do the Russian guy named Bergorsky.
Lurganov.
Well,
I tried to guess it.
it's close. Anatoly Bergorsky, who put his head in the beam of a proton accelerator by mistake at a giant particle collider.
Well, we could do like Darwin Award type stories where people just do such stupid shit.
Well,
That
it wasn't
it's
really
actually
his
funny.
fault. This guy, I mean,
It
told
wasn't
them
really
he
his
was-
fault. He was like, "Is this working?" And
Well, no,
then he
you
put his
can't
eye up
see
to
the
it.
beam.
He put his eye up to it to see if it would twitch, and he went blind. Weird.
Well, it's funny, he actually, it's an interesting story. The guy worked at this, he was the head of a particle accelerator in Russia, so he's not an idiot. He's, but neither was the guy who ran Chernobyl, I guess. This is just Russian shit that happens. Russia is like a whole country of Florida men. Anyway, he,
but with access to nuclear fission.
yeah, Florida man could. This guy told them, he said, I have to go into the beam room to run some tests on the equipment. Can you turn off the beam? And they just didn't do it. And then
And he didn't think to check. Like he
somebody
wasn't like,
had
okay.
well, no, there is a check.
What happens?
A light comes
well,
on.
What happens if you go into the photon beam?
So what happened to him was, so there's
imploded.
a door to the room, and there's a light that comes on over the door when the photon beam is active, and the bulb burned out, and the automatic lock, because it was on the same circuit as the bulb, unlocked. So he walked in, and he bent down to change something, and he
that
put
happened
his
at the CT suite at one of the clinics that I worked at. One of the nurses was exposed to a fuck ton of radiation because the bulb burnt out. And I was like, hey, we need to replace the bulb. It took them 3 months to replace it. Like, what?
Yeah. Real life is so much more dangerous than the Wimmis videos make you think it's going to be. The work safe.
So wait,
hazards.
what? Sorry, I got excited about my story and I forgot about what happened to the guy.
Well, he opened the door and he bent down to do something, and immediately he said he saw a brightness that was the equivalent of 1,000 suns, and then he lost consciousness. And so he came around and finished what he was doing.
Suns.
That's his words. I mean, he's Russian.
It was the brightness of 1,000. No, that's Scottish. Damn it.
Burgorsky was leaning over the equipment when he stuck his head in the path
brightness of 1,000 suns. No, I don't know. That's
Are you looking for Russian? Anatoly, it was the brightness of 1,000 suns. It was time to put him on the iceberg. Anyway, he put his head in the path of a 76 giga-electron volt proton beam. So he said, it says, reportedly he saw a flash brighter than 1,000 suns, but did not feel any pain. The beam passed through the back of his head, the occipital and temporal lobes of his brain, and the middle ear, and out the left side of his nose. He received a dose of 200,000 to 300,000 Roentgens. He understood the severity of what happened, but continued working on the malfunctioning equipment, and had decided initially not to tell anyone what had happened. And I think that was part of the, fear of authority in Russia. The next day, his face swelled up beyond recognition just on one half, and the skin peeled off, revealing the path of the proton beam, which had been moving almost at the speed of light. And it had burned through parts of his face, bone, brain, and tissue underneath. Now, they assumed he would die because the dose was absolutely massive. But
but he had a brain tumor just in the path.
Well, no. What's funny is that because the dose was protons can't really put a lot of tissue dose out beyond where they're touching. So I think it severely burned everything that it touched, but it killed all that tissue, and he actually did survive. And he didn't have a lot of mental dysfunction afterwards, but if he tried to concentrate, he would get exhausted and get
He
headaches.
had excessive hyperbole. That was the only damage that it caused.
He developed complex partial seizures and occasional tonic-clonic seizures. But he went back
I
to
stubbed my
work.
toe. It felt like 5 million Hiroshimas in my foot.
It was like 30 Sarbomas.
Oh, the light on your camera. It's like 1,000 suns. Brightness.
You have to say, like, the light of one sun is all the brightness we're able to perceive. That would be like saying it was sweeter than 40 Coca-Colas. Just this is the maximum sweetness. I told you about my Coke experiment when I put sugar in Coke to see what it would taste like, and it tasted just like Coke.
Yeah, I feel like it would just it wouldn't like it would just precipitate out. I think you just
It's
have
almost
sugar on the
at the
bottom of
maximum
glass.
dissolved ability. But when
Yeah.
you think about it, the stuff is at a restaurant dissolved in the syrup,
Yeah.
then they add that to fizzy water.
Water. Yeah.
So you can add sugar. You can dissolve more sugar in that fizzy water,
Oh
but
well, look, don't tempt me.
it doesn't taste like anything. It just tastes like Coke. You can add 20 tablespoons. It still tastes the same.
I got
because it's the maximum.
I got one
you
of
can
those soda
perceive.
streams. I don't know if I told you this.
Oh, I
got
wanted
of
one
those
for
soda
Christmas.
streams.
I'm glad I didn't get one in retrospect because I would be drinking like 40 or 50 sodas a day.
Well,
No
I got
question.
it because I was drinking a lot of like Coke, no sugar. So, like Diet Coke, basically.
Yeah.
Just in cans. So I got this because I thought that potentially I could reduce my intake of phosphoric acid.
Canned Coke. Yeah, so
What's
how
that?
is it?
It's great. I put a little bit of low sugar fruit juice in it, just like a little
Yeah.
a little drop, just to give it a bit of flavor. But it's decent. It's
You
not too bad.
carbonate whatever you're drinking, I assume.
Yeah,
So
milk.
just water water
my-
goes in and it comes out
My
carbonated.
cereal,
Yeah.
my coffee. I love carbonated coffee. Fuck, gives you a boost.
Carbonated Jello would be good, or carbonated pudding. I bet that would be delicious.
Yeah, so I do that. No, it's not too bad. Hey, I was thinking for something for our Patreon.
Though, yeah.
Do you have a collection? I'm just asking, not to give away what you do for a living, but you're a doctor. Do you have a collection of X-rays with pictures of things people have put up their butt?
Interestingly, you gave me a book for Christmas called what was it called? Stuck Up. And it's all this was about 5 or 10 years ago, and it's all x-rays of things people put up their ass.
I think we need to start a series of that. Obviously, anonymize all of the information.
Yeah, it's very picky because people know who I am. You have to go through all these what are they called?
Before you can publish it.
Before you can publish it. Now, I'm sure the people who took the book Stuck Up were just like a bunch of guys who were like, we'll just take a picture on our iPhone.
Yeah.
Hey, what the hell is it called? It's man, I am struggling with vocabulary and
Well,
memory.
here's the thing, though. Like, who's going to come forward and say, "Look, I'm pretty
Hey,
sure
I didn't
that's
give
my
you
X-ray."
permission to share the photo of the bunch of bananas I stuffed up my ass.
Yeah.
People will sue physicians for, even if it's totally humiliating, they would still sue because they think you have a lot of money. I mean, there's a perception that you could sue me for $20 million and you'd be rich, you'd be set for life, and I'm like, you realize I don't have a tenth of that. It's not even close.
Yeah.
There's a misconception about how much you have.
Well,
Now, you should be able to sue the government. You know what? They take more of my pay than I do. So if you sue me, you should also sue them. And then they
they're
should
your
have to pay
employer.
you. They should have to pay you
Yeah.
55% since that's what I paid them. That's what they made.
should have to pay
That's what they made off me. You know, they got all the reward. They should have some of the risk.
Well, I've also. Okay. We're gonna wrap up now because we're going over time. But I'm gonna cut out quite a bit. I'm gonna put out some merch. So that
I actually
Tombstone?
will buy some merch. I like.
That
I love
Tombstone?
my 1 Foot in the Grave podcast shirt.
that says 1 foot in the grave, and then on the bottom it says "You get what you pay for." With the dying rose. I thought that was pretty clever.
That look reminded me of the Haunted Mansion at Disney World. I thought. It was pretty cool.
Right.
I thought we could do some clever gravestones, like
Yeah.
Haunted Mansion does.
Yeah, yeah.
Here lies cousin
Like-
Fred. Great big rock.
Yeah,
fell on his head.
Fell on his head. Here lies my old friend Dave. He found a bear inside a cave.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I'll put a link in the description section for this, for that merch, and that's it. So that's something that I'm doing now, just for fun.
Yeah, some merch would be good.
Yeah,
Well,
no one will buy it, but that's okay.
I'm glad we did another one. I miss our podcast. It's been over a month, I think. We should try.
Yeah, well, it was good because we had some stories.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's
yeah.
It's been a tough year to accumulate stories because most of our stories are I worked and then I came home and watched TV and went to bed.
Yes, I know. Well, hey, look, you can send in your stories as well, and we'll share them if they're any good.
Yeah.
So, like, have you had a Karen story? Send us a voice recording, and then
What's a male Karen called? Because I've come across
a Chad.
Them too. A Chad.
Chad. Well, that's what I call them, I assume.
A chode.
A chode. Yeah, probably. They're all making up for something.
I'll have some stories coming up because this weekend I'm going up to the camp in Miramichi, so you might get some bear stories or a weasel in our cottage story or whatever.
Oh, nice.
We'll find out. I've got to build a giant bunk bed, so that'll be fun.
Well,
and then
there'll be some good hospital stories.
Yeah. And then April 29th, I booked a guide to go spring fishing, which is apparently quite dangerous.
Wait, you have to have a guide?
I do because I don't have a boat. And so this is, fuck, before we go, I'll tell you my story of my own idiocy. So I thought, I've got this camp and I want to spring fish, but the water's too deep in the spring, right? You can't wade out into it and it's ice cold.
Yeah.
But spring salmon, you actually catch stuff. It's not like, it's not as much of a patience game in theory. So I said, yeah, I'm gonna get a boat and do it, but I can't afford an expensive boat because I just bought the camp. So at Christmas, Canadian Tire had a sale on these plastic Pelican John boats. They're called the Intruder. It's really small. It's close to the water. It's almost like kayak height off the water, but you can put a little motor on the back. It'll take a 6 horsepower motor. So I said, fuck it. You know what? I'm gonna get one of these. So I got the boat and I checked and it fit on my trailer. And then I got a 6 horsepower outboard motor, and I was like, I can't wait. I'm going to be spring fishing. Well, one of my patients is a guide in the Miramichi. And I was talking to him while I was doing this case. And I was telling him my plan, and I said, yeah, I got this little boat and a motor, and I think I'm going to go out and do some spring fishing as soon as I get up there, and, once the season opens. He said, well, how little's the boat? I said, it's 12 feet. He said, no, you'll be dead. You can't... I said, you can't take a 12-foot boat on the Miramichi in the spring? He said, how big's the motor? I said, 6 horsepower. He said, you need like 100. I said, are you kidding? He said, do you know how fucking dangerous that is? He said, that river is going like 40 miles an hour. So if you put a 6 horsepower boat that could potentially go 5 miles an hour in it, you're just going to be swept out into the Northumberland Strait at 35 miles an hour instead of 40 miles an hour. He said, and that's if you don't hit a root or a rock and get overturned into the water that's 2 degrees Celsius. He said, don't even think about it. I said,
you can't handle the water.
I said, so you're saying I bought the boat and the motor for nothing? He said, yeah, you bought it for nothing. What the fuck? It's like, should you be doing my case? It's like, yeah, no, I'm good at medicine. I'm just not. I don't have common sense. It was really fun.
That's pretty funny. But it would be fun to putt around, Mum's place.
Well, yeah, you know what? We can use it for all kinds of shit. We can fish off it anywhere. And it's tough as nails, right? It's just like the thick plastic material. So I figure we'll get some use out of it. We'll take it up lake fishing. There's
some huge fish out. Like you see them jump outside Mum's place.
The sturgeon, yeah.
So they would be fun. That would be fun to catch.
We can go down to Sturgeon Alley. I have an actual aluminum boat, a 14-foot aluminum.
Yeah, yeah.
Still not big enough for the Miramichi. But we can take that one down to Sturgeon Alley and we'll spray you spray worms with WD-40, which is actually made of fish oil. And that's how you catch sturgeon. So there you go.
And are they the ones that have the calamari?
They have little suckers on them, like little bumps on their back, and they have a sucker mouth. And they eat shit off the bottom. But they're the big fish that you see jumping.
No, but do they... What is that fucking stuff? It's like fish eggs.
Yeah, caviar. Sturgeon
caviar.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, gross. Okay. Yeah, I'm down for that. Let me just get my vaccination in 6 years and I'll be there.
You'll be ahead of everyone here. Oh my god.
Oh, I better put the outro music on. Well, thanks, weirdos, for listening
thanks.
to hour and something minutes.
It's good to see you all again.
See you soon. Happy Easter.
Happy
Go
Easter.
to church.
Yeah, go to church this Sunday.
Okay, bye.
See ya.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Okay, there for real.